Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. You are in the right place today to learn how to people power your campaign with online petitions. We're going to talk about how to promote your campaign, how to pressure decision makers, generate media, grow your base, and ultimately to win using online petitions. My name is Lawrence Grodeska. I am the Director of Nonprofit Community at Change.org. As I mentioned, I'm really honored to be here with all of you today, so glad that you could join us. We have a great agenda for you. This is some of the things we'll be talking about. Why online petitions in the first place? What makes them such an interesting tactic, an effective tactic for your work? And what makes a winning petition? What are the elements of a petition that really can make sure that it helps to push forward your campaign and your objectives? And we're going to talk about some best practices for starting your petition online, both on Change.org and any petition site, really. Just some general things that you should be thinking about. And then we'll talk a little bit about some other services that we have at Change.org that give your petition better exposure to the supporters that you're looking to cultivate and to find for your work. We'll have plenty of time for questions and answers, and we'll be taking questions in the chat window on the left-hand side of your ReadyTalk conference window. You should see a chat window. Please feel free anytime during the presentation to drop a question in there, and I'd be happy to answer it. I want to make sure that we are giving you the information you need to be effective using online petitions for your work. So let's get started. Change.org is the world's largest petition platform, and it's our mission to empower people everywhere to create the change that they want to see. People do that by creating petitions to tell their stories and gather support for their cause. And because of that, with 40 million users in every country of the world right now, we see incredible stories every day. Stories of individuals and organizations starting campaigns about the issues they care about. So we see stories like that of Zach Walls, pictured here delivering hundreds of thousands of signatures asking the Boy Scouts of America to end their long-standing ban on gay scouts and leaders. And this particular story is much bigger. Groups like the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation and Zach's own organization, Scouts for Equality, also created petitions. We had over 100 different petitions with 1.5 million signatures, all asking the Boy Scouts to change their policy around discrimination against gay scouts and leaders. And they did just that about 2 months ago. They voted to allow gay scouts as part of their organization. Really wonderful story, but it's only one of many incredible stories that we see every day, all told through petitions, and all that have had a real tangible impact just because someone or some group decided to take one action that turned into a landslide of collective action. And because of the incredible stories and victories that we see on our platform, 25,000 petitions started every month, thousands of victories every year, we have unique insight into how your organization can use online petitions as part of your campaign. Of course, we didn't start online petitions. We didn't start petitions. They've been around for a long time. This is a picture of some gentlemen on the steps of a town hall in the early 70s protesting some aspect of the Vietnam War. And just to give you an idea about how long petitions have been around, they're really one of the oldest political advocacy tools in the book and just one form of collective action that organizations have used to gather support. Other tactics that organizations have used, you know them well: phone-in days, call-in days, marches, rallies, lobbying. These are all tactics that have been used to great effect in the past. But there's a difference with where we're at this day and age. With the age of the internet, things have changed. Yesterday, if you convinced someone to take an action, all you really got was that one vote or that one phone call or that one signature on a petition, on a written petition. But today, with the internet and mobile technology, we have an unprecedented opportunity to increase the efficiency and impact of that time-proven model of collective action. So with tactics like social media, email, and online petitions, we're able to meet people where they're at, and better yet, give them a new way of expressing their support and becoming advocates for our causes, empowering them with the ability to reach their networks, to engage them beyond what we could ever do as individuals or organizations on our own. So a march like this in the past now looks something like this. This is a petition that was started by the parents of Trayvon Martin. You may have heard about this story. It's been all over the press for a good part of a year and was started because a young man was shot and killed without any action being pressed against the person that pulled the trigger. And this petition actually succeeded in having the local authorities look into the issue of this young man's death. Of course, this case is still going on. In fact, just today, Trayvon Martin's parents started a new petition, which is taking this much longer campaign into a new phase. But it's really incredible to see how online petitions have been embraced, how they are creating real impact and real change in the world. And we're incredibly honored to be a part of that, and that's what we do day in and day out. And through that work, we see our first takeaway, which is that online petitions are highly social and they complement traditional advocacy tactics. So if you have a campaign you're working on, adding an online petition can be a great way to bring in new supporters online, engage them, make them part of your movement, and online petitions, as we'll see, are uniquely suited to do that. So on Change.org, I actually need to update this slide. We're at 40 million users in every country right now, and tens of thousands of organizations have collected tens of millions of signatures for the issues they're working on, which is really an incredible collective impact just given organizations using Change.org alone. And we see all kinds of organizations on our platform, folks working in the environmental field, in the LGBT field, just like we saw Zach Walls and GLAAD and Scouts for Equality, human rights, animal welfare, you name it. Organizations understand that people are on Change.org using our petition tool, signing petitions, joining campaigns, and so organizations are also there connecting with new supporters that they hadn't had access to before. A little bit about Change.org, and then we'll get into some examples of some benefits and examples of online petitions. Change.org is, just like we're empowering individuals to create the change they want to see, we also empower organizations to build their movement using innovative tools to engage passionate supporters for their causes. We're a B Corporation, and that's a social benefit corporation, which means that we're working to maximize impact instead of profit. And one of the primary ways we maximize our impact is by providing people power for your campaigns. And this is a loose diagram of how that works. Someone like Zach Walls in the center creates a petition. Hundreds of thousands of people from all over the United States, all over Northern America, all over the world sign his petition. And we know at that point what our users care about. We know that they care about gay rights. We know that they care about protecting endangered species. And we're able to connect them with the organizations you see on the outside of that circle that really need to find these supporters that care about specific issues. And we offer those connections that allow these organizations to cultivate their next generations of advocates and donors. I'll talk a little bit more about our sponsor campaign paid services for supporter recruitment later on in the presentation. But I want to talk a bit about what you can do with online petitions for free. Online petitions are uniquely suited to do a number of different things very well. It's a really interesting and efficient tactic from our perspective, and we see a lot of examples of this on our site every day. As I've been talking about, one of the best things that online petitions can do for you is identifying people that care about your work. It introduces you to new supporters that, just by virtue of signing your petition, have basically raised their hand and said, I care about the work you're doing enough to sign your petition. And with our tools, you can then communicate with those supporters. You can message them through our platform. There is some free list building you can do through our platform. When you create a petition as an organization, we offer a benefit to organizations that allows individuals the opportunity to opt into your email list. So while people are signing your petition, you're also doing a little bit of free list building and email growth. We understand that that's an important part of the work of all organizations at this point online to build their movement and grow their email list. So we're really happy to provide that benefit. So online petitions introduce you to new supporters that care about your work specifically. They're also a great way to get press and exposure for the work you're doing. it's interesting to hear from all the journalists that we talk to that they come to Change.org to learn about what issues are important to people today. We've had more than one top-tier journalist say that they and their producers comb our site, reading comments, checking out different petitions as a way to find a new angle on a story. So a lot of reporters these days will just pull quotes from Change.org petitions, pull comments as quotes for their stories. And it sounds too easy to be true, but an online petition can be a really easy way to introduce your work to reporters or to include an online angle in your story and press outreach. Finally, online petitions are an excellent way to pressure decision makers. Right here we see the in-person petition delivery to an Apple store in New York City that was coordinated with other Apple stores around the world. In England, I believe one in India, other parts of the United States. And this demonstrates just how much a petition can let a decision maker know that people care about the issue at hand. Whether it's an in-person delivery of petition signatures or the email that gets sent every time someone signs your petition maker, it gets sent to the decision maker, an email gets sent every time someone signs your petition, it gets sent to the decision maker that you're trying to work with to make a change. That's a really powerful way to start a conversation that's necessary to make the change you want to see. So petitions also apply a lot of pressure on decision makers that's important for your work and making the change that you want to see. So let's talk about a couple different examples of online petitions. Remember, if you have questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat window on the left-hand side of the ReadyTalk window. Be happy to take them throughout the webinar. Want to make sure that if you have any questions at all, we have time to answer them. So in thinking about these next couple examples, I want you to think about the stories that they tell. And I often use an acronym called DIRTY to think about some of the characteristics of stories that make them impactful and effective and engaging for new supporters. And that means dramatic, inspiring, relevant, and timely. So if you can find a way to tell your campaign through a story that is dramatic and inspiring, that brings up emotion and speaks to the best in all of us and what each of us care about deeply, and that is also relevant and timely in the sense that it intersects with the daily lives of the folks that might be signing this petition, or at least appeals to the human side of the issue that they would care about. And that could be through a personal story that you tell as part of the petition narrative. And of course, if it's timely, that it is of the moment, that it's speaking to an issue at hand, maybe in the news or around a political cycle. These are some things that can really help distinguish your petition from others. So first example we have is an example by an organization called the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. The Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy is an international preservation organization based in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and it's their mission to facilitate the preservation and maintenance of the remaining structures of famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright. They have been a traditional advocacy organization, done a lot of work behind the scenes with city halls, planning boards, developers, trying to save these homes that are really valued by architectural enthusiasts around the world. But they had never used an online petition before. That is, until they were starting a campaign to save the Davis and Gladys Wright house in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a house that Frank Lloyd Wright designed for his son and daughter-in-law, which is a really stunning example of his particular style of work. And when it became clear that a developer had purchased this land or was trying to purchase this land with the intention of destroying this home and creating luxury condos, Frank Lloyd Wright Conservancy realized they needed to take a different tactic. So they started a petition on Change.org that they shared with their list, their core of activists that care about preserving these homes, and they got some great traction right away. 10,000 signatures, and around that point, after their core supporters started joining into the campaign, the story started to get picked up by the press. And it was really amazing to see just how much major news outlets were covering the story. So this is an article that was on the front page of the art and design section of the New York Times. Can't really ask for better coverage than that. And you'll see that I've highlighted a link to the petition from that story, which led to more signatures and more engagement around this issue. Eventually, the Conservancy got to about 25 or 28,000 signatures, and it really convinced the Phoenix City Council that a lot of people cared about that home and pushed them to provide temporary historic preservation designation status to the home that allowed the Conservancy to then find a buyer that wanted to protect and preserve the home. This is a victory. They were able to use this petition to buy time to find the right buyer to preserve this home. So really wonderful story, and I should also mention that as far as the free list growth that they saw, this is a pretty unique example, but they saw almost 2/3 of the people that signed this petition join their mailing list because they cared so much about this particular issue of architectural preservation and the great work that the Conservancy was doing that they wanted to be in touch and be a part of that movement over time. So one of my favorite examples of organizations effectively using our free online petition tool. And another example is that of the Polaris Project. The Polaris Project is an anti-human trafficking organization in the United States and Japan. And one of the awful practices of human trafficking is oftentimes the use of tattoos for branding the victims of human trafficking. And the Polaris Project's overall goal is to stop human trafficking. But they recognize that with a petition alone, they're not going to stop this practice, which happens probably on every continent in very dark, shadowy corners of countries and nations. So one of the ways that they decided to take a small step towards ending this practice was targeting this branding of sex trafficking victims. With this petition, they targeted the National Tattoo Association of the United States and asked them to provide education for their tattoo artists about this practice so that if someone came in and there were some red flags about the tattoos that they were getting, they knew where to escalate the issue, they knew how to address it, and it was a really concrete way to prevent one of the mechanisms by which human trafficking is proliferated. So it didn't take many signatures. It was very highly targeted, very specifically targeted. It only took about 2,000 signatures before the media director of the National Tattoo Association said, yes, this is a great campaign. We absolutely support this. We would love to provide education to our artists. How do we do this? Let's go. So really, I think a great example of if it doesn't take too many signatures sometimes to have influence over decision makers if you're doing your targeting closely and thoughtfully. And just want to point out a couple examples of how the Polaris Project leveraged their online petition. This is a screenshot of their Facebook page, which they're very active on. And you can see here on the left-hand side, they've got a call-in request for supporters to contact their representatives about an issue, and then right next to it is another online petition they had started. So they were very active on social media, giving their supporters different ways to get engaged with a host of issues that they're working on. And in the process, they also managed to get some online coverage on examiner.com of this campaign and the petition. So great issue awareness for them, great exposure to a great organization and the work that they're doing. That was really helped by their online petition. So our second takeaway is that while people on Change.org are creating moments by signing petitions, by creating single-issue petitions, nonprofit organizations are using Change.org to create movements over time, multiple petitions addressing different aspects of the issues they're working on, building their email lists, developing movements to have more impact and be more successful and more victorious over time. And we can't be more excited to see that happening on our platform, and hope that all of you see some of the benefits for your organization about online petitions. So I'd like to go through some of the best practices for online petitions now, but before I do that, a couple questions have come in, so I'm going to pause and get to those. Carla Stein asks, can you target a petition to a specific demographic, i.e. residents of a city or a regional district? And you absolutely can do that. We have a feature that allows you to limit signers of a petition only to a certain geographic area. So if you're working on an issue, for example, that is a local issue that is asking a state government or a local government to adopt a certain policy and they only care about hearing from their constituents, you can limit signers to that specific area so that the petition has the most impact possible. I should mention also that when you print out, if you want to download the signatures to print out, you're given the location information for the city and state for supporters, so that you can also filter out folks that aren't within the areas that you're working with. Question from Kara Thorpe, and do petition signers have to opt into your list, or can we get the list from change.org? So when someone signs a petition on change.org, they do have to create an account. This is for verification that they are an individual. We're very concerned about the validity of signatures on change.org. You can't sign a petition multiple times because you can only have one account registered to your email address. And we have anti-spam systems set up to prevent individuals from creating multiple signatures on our petition. So that's one of the reasons why we require people to have an account on change.org, is for the validity of our petitions. And as far as the list growth that you can do for free as an organization, as people join your email list, you are able to download a file of their contact information, including their email, after they have agreed to join your email list. You can then import that list into your CRM and welcome them to your organization. Let them know that they got in touch with you because they signed a petition on change.org. And then you cultivate them as you would any other email supporter. And Kara has another question about targeting state legislators, which I'll get to in this next section, because we have a pretty cool tool that allows you to do targeting of elected officials. Okay, so let's get into the specifics about creating online petitions and some of the best practices you should be thinking about. First of all, I want to mention that at change.org/organizations, if you visit that site, we have a lot of resources for you, other webinars that we host on a regular basis, some tools and resources that you can use to get started. And we also have a Get Started page, which is where you can create a profile for your organization. So if you go to change.org/organizations and click on that Get Started button, you'll be taken to a form that you fill out to create a profile page like this. This is a demonstration organization I've created for a group called Oakland Cares. I live in San Francisco. I also happen to love Oakland, California, across the bay. And so this is an organization I set up to demonstrate what it means to have an organization profile on change.org. You can see you can add a logo, a description of your organization, a URL to your website so that you're gaining some brand awareness and driving people to learn more about your organization on your site. Once you have your profile created, you want to click on the Start a Petition button in the top of every page of our website, and you'll see this form. This is the core of your petition, 3 questions that you need to answer to get started. So we're going to walk through these one at a time. Before I do that, I do want to note that there is a drop-down field that lets you select whether or not the petition is created by you as an individual or your organization. To receive that free benefit of list growth, when people sign your petition, you need to be starting your petition as an organization. So just make sure it's selected in that drop-down. And then we'll ask ourselves 3 questions. Who do you want to petition? What do you want them to do? And why is this important? So I'm going to go to question number 2 first, because this is the ask of your petition. This is the specific thing that you're trying to change. When you're thinking about starting an online petition, you know your issue area, you know what your campaign is about, and hopefully in your campaign you're targeting something very specific that you think that you can move the needle on, that you can make a change about. this is really important for an online petition. You want to choose something that's discrete and concrete and achievable. Kind of like the Polaris Project, instead of starting a petition to President Obama to stop human trafficking in the United States, they recognize that that's not a good strategy because the likelihood of an online petition doing that is small, and the likelihood that President Obama would be involved with that is very small. So instead, they chose a very specific issue and one that they thought was winnable within the scope of their campaign and an online petition. So if you choose something that is actually possible, given an online petition, you can then take a step backward and answer that first question. Who do you want to petition? Who has the power to make the change that you're looking to make? In the case of the Polaris Project, if they wanted to establish educational programs for tattoo artists, targeting the National Tattoo Association was a great targeting strategy. That was the right decision maker for them to choose. Now this could be an individual, it could be an elected official, it could be an official at a corporation, it could be all of those. But you want to find the individuals or organizations that have influence over the change that you're trying to make. And we'll see in a minute how you can list multiple decision makers. But for now, answering question number one with the primary decision maker you're interested in, and then finally, question number three, telling the story about why this issue is important. Why should other people care about this? And doing it in a rational and reasoned way. If you have research, if you have references, this is a good place to list it because people on Change.org actually do care that they're signing legitimate and valid petitions that are well thought out and have a chance of winning. So make your argument and click the Start My Petition button right there, and you will be taken then to this page. This is the basic petition after you've answered those three questions. You can see it's not in great shape right off the bat. You really should be adding a picture, and the title could use a little bit of work. So we're going to walk through some of the steps to optimize your petition to start sharing it. Click on the Edit Petition button in the upper left-hand blue dashboard there, and you'll be taken to the Edit Petition page. And there's a couple things that we want to do here. First and foremost, as I mentioned, is we want to add an image for our petition. And an image really is, for many people, the first way in which they engage with your petition. Whether it's on the petition page or shared via social media, the petition is something that needs, the image for your petition is something that needs to stand out and grab the attention visually of someone looking at your petition. So choose an image that's interesting, that's visually interesting, but that also works at different size formats. If you're sharing an image on Facebook, it's going to be much smaller, so try not to use a lot of very small text because that's not going to be legible in different formats. You can also upload a video here. You can embed a video as part of your petition page, and if you have collateral you've developed, or maybe you have a video of a particular injustice you're trying to fight, that can be a really great hook to get people interested and engaged with your petition. After you've got an image or a video added, you're going to want to edit the default title. You can create a custom title, and when you do that, you want to be thinking about something that's short, snappy, that speaks directly to the issue, maybe in an engaging, maybe emotionally meaningful way, but take some time and brainstorm this. This is a great opportunity for you to sit down with coworkers or your network of friends and think about catchy titles for your petition. You can always try multiple titles over time, and I should mention that since petitions on Change.org are free, you can start multiple petitions and see which ones work and gain traction. It might take you a little while to find the right formula, but when you do, you'll know it. And finally, on this page, you can add multiple decision makers. We only listed the name in that first phase of creating our petition. We're going to want to add the email as well, because the email, if it's listed, is going to be how we're able to send those emails every time someone signs your petition. So a decision maker, if you've listed their email, will receive an email when someone signs your petition. And this is where you can add multiple recipients. You can see just add another recipient, a name, office, and email field. We also have an elected officials tool, and this was Kate's question. With this elected officials tool, at least in the U.S., it's not available in other countries just yet. But if you add an elected official, you can choose to automatically target the signer's state elected official or federal elected official. So if they're signing in California, they might automatically target Barbara Boxer or Dianne Feinstein. And that's a really handy way to make sure that your petition is being directed towards the right people to make the decision and influence the change you're trying to see. Scrolling down the page, we have just a couple more things to do to optimize our petition, and you'll see why is this important. This is the story you told earlier on. Gives you a chance to edit it, add links if you'd like, do any minor formatting. And then finally here is the petition letter. This is the email that your decision maker will receive when someone signs your petition. So this is your moment to start the conversation with the person or persons that you're looking to help you make the change you want to see. So be firm, be authoritative, but don't be disrespectful, because you need to have a conversation most of the time with a decision maker to make the change happen. So write your letter, click save, and this is what we see now. This is a petition that's optimized and ready to go. A nice image, talking to the issue at hand, keep Oakland green, save the Lake Merritt trees is a much shorter, engaging title than the one that we saw previously, and this is ready to go. So to review the things that we just talked about as far as the best practices, or what I call a winning petition checklist, you want to choose an achievable ask with specific targeting, and you want to tell a compelling story with a provocative image and an engaging title. And think about that acronym of DIRTY, which is dramatic, inspiring, relevant, and timely. You're telling a story through your petition. You want to tell it with those attributes so that people care about your issue and care about your story and sign your petition. A question from Kate. Is there any way for the signee to personalize their message? Not as of yet. We don't have that feature built. That might be available in the future. But right now, it's just the same default message that you create. Your organization can optimize the message, but individual signers can't. Keep the questions coming. Love them. Plenty of time for any questions you may have. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what to do once your petition is ready to go. It's up to you to promote your petition. You'll get some exposure to new users on change.org. That's certainly one of the advantages that our platform brings. But the best way to make sure that your petition gets traction and reaches new people is to share it with your networks and ask them to share it with their networks. So this is the promise of social media. This is why social media is so powerful, is that it gives you the opportunity to go beyond your network to reach the network of your network. So first and foremost, as far as a few promotional ideas here, use your email list. Email, we still find, is the most effective way to get people to take action. Send an email to your list about this petition. Ask those folks to sign and share it with theirs. This is definitely a great way to get your petition off the ground and gaining momentum. Like we saw, share it on social media. If you have Twitter, Facebook, Google+, anything really, the petition becomes a really great piece of content that you can use over time. A petition has a lifespan. There's a beginning and a middle and maybe a long middle with different moments along the way, and hopefully an end and a victorious end. So certainly when you reach a milestone of 100 signatures, or maybe when you have a high-profile petition signer, maybe an elected official or a celebrity or someone important to the campaign, when they sign, share that on social media again. Share news updates. If you get a media hit about your campaign, share that on social media. Especially for people that have signed, they want to know how the campaign is going. So this is a great way to inform them about how effective your organization is and to deepen that relationship, because they've already said that they care about this issue. So keep them informed by sharing your petition on your social media over its lifespan. And we'll also see about using our messaging tool to communicate with petition signers. Talk to partners, people that care about your work, maybe other organizations that are working on similar issues, maybe bloggers that are out there, other activists. They may want to help you expose your petition to their networks, especially if you've done a great job with the strategy behind the petition. A well-reasoned petition is hard to argue against oftentimes for other folks working in your field. And finally, if you're doing any kind of press outreach, include the link to the petition in your press outreach. This is that idea that reporters and journalists want to have a component of their story that talks about the public response to a campaign. And an online petition, just like reporters have used Facebook pages and Twitter campaigns, an online petition is a really easy way to add that online angle for reporters. And it seems like a little odd to include an online link in a press release, but it works. So think about that if you're doing press outreach. So those are some ideas to get your petition shared and out and gaining momentum and signatures. We also have a new feature on Change.org called Promoted Petitions. And once your petition reaches a threshold of 50 signatures, we allow other people on our platform, after they've signed your petition, to pay to promote your petition to other users. So it works like this. Someone signs your petition, they see a screen that allows them to chip in to make sure other users that care about your issue on Change.org actually see this petition while they're using our site. And they have the opportunity then to sign that petition and share it with their networks. So what we're trying to do is build in sort of a crowd funding for promotion mechanism into our site and make sure that internally that there's ability for users on our platform to discover other great petitions. This is obviously something that is, there's no guarantees around it. Right now we don't allow individuals or organizations to directly promote their own petitions, but we're working on that. But it's a feature we're excited about because it gives you the ability, if people really care about your work, to get more exposure on our platform. And we've seen that 25% of the petitions that have been promoted already are started by organizations. So another great benefit of using the Change.org platform. This is what the chip-in screen looks like. People have the ability to chip in a couple dollars to get that extra exposure for your petition on our platform. And when you're talking about extra signatures as public support, when you're talking about emails being sent to decision makers, this can become really important. And as I mentioned, there is a email your supporters feature on our petitions. You can message the folks that have signed your petition. So someone signs your petition, you want to let them know when you're making headway about your issue and your campaign. So if you had a big success, a partial success, send your folks, your signers, an issue and let them know about that, because this is an opportunity for you to deepen that relationship. You can also ask them to take another action, maybe calling their senator or congressperson. Maybe you ask them also to sign up for your email list. But communicating with your signers is a really important part of engaging them to cultivate them into supporters, but also making sure that they're aware of just how important their involvement in your campaign is. And finally, we always recommend that you close the loop with a petition delivery. As I mentioned, a petition has a lifespan. Sometimes it starts to drag out. You haven't gotten the response you want from your decision maker. Your signatures are plateaued. There's not much more movement. This might be some time where you're thinking about delivering a petition in person to your decision makers, staging a moment to have other supporters join you, maybe calling in press to cover the event. This can be a great way to jumpstart a dialogue with a supporter and with a decision maker and demonstrate all the supporters that care about your work. And this is a shot of a petition delivery to the Obama administration around the Keystone XL pipeline. This is, you can see on the left-hand side there's a photographer. This gained a lot of coverage in the media in the United States and was an effective petition delivery that helped push the conversation along. And A couple questions, and Julie asked, do orgs receive any percentage of the funds from the chip-in feature? Not yet. That's a feature that is specifically for promotion of petitions on change.org. We don't do any direct fundraising on change.org just yet. We're interested in testing out that feature down the road because we recognize that funding is a really important piece of the puzzle for all organizations. But what we do is we do have a sponsored campaign service, which is actually a good segue into the next part of this, the last part of this presentation. Our sponsored campaign service is for when organizations are really ready to invest in acquiring new supporters. We've seen how online petitions can introduce you to new folks. They can gather people around your cause and give you access to new supporters to make headway on an issue. They can also provide a little bit of free list growth through the opt-in feature we saw. When someone signs a petition, they can also opt in to your organization's email list. But with free petitions and list growth through them, we can't guarantee how many people that will be. We can't guarantee how fast that might happen. That's why we offer sponsored campaigns. With sponsored campaigns, organizations pay to connect with targeted mission-aligned supporters. And in that process, we deliver the full contact information for your supporters without any duplicates, and really at a speed and a scale and a targeting that's not available anywhere else. So when you need to connect to a certain constituency that cares about a specific issue, maybe in a specific part of the country, we can do that for you through our sponsored campaigns. And the returns that our clients see on sponsored campaigns is pretty incredible. Open rates are much higher than the industry average. Response rates are much higher. And the folks that we connect organizations with are much more likely to donate to a cause than the national average. We are really excited about the supporters we can provide, and our clients are too, because over 80% of our clients return for this service. So that's all I'll say about our sponsored campaign service, but if you are doing fundraising, this is a great opportunity for you to build your list so that when you are doing fundraising, you have more folks to donate to your organization and the great work that you're doing. So that's all the presentation I have for you today. Plenty of time for questions, but I'll leave you with this thought: what are you changing? And I know that you're doing great work, and we would love to hear about it. So visit us at change.org/organizations. You can also find us on the social web, Twitter @Changeorgs, and Facebook Facebook.com/Changeorgs. My email is lawrence@change.org. I really am serious in that if you have a great campaign, please share it with us. We're always looking for interesting and innovative campaigns to share with our audience, and we want to learn from you because you're doing great work on the ground, and we're really honored to be a part of that and to provide services to help you be more effective in your online campaigning and your online fundraising. So if you have to go, I welcome you, or I thank you for being a part of the presentation today. Hope that you learned something and hope that you see how online petitions can help your organization be more effective with your online campaigns, and I hope to see you and your petitions online very soon. So thank you. And I will take the rest of the 10 or 15 minutes here to answer questions. So let's see. Kate asked at the end of the petition, after they've signed, can we direct people to a donation page for our org? We don't have that feature available. What happens is after someone signs a petition, they're directed to other parts of our site. And what is possible, however, is through our messaging tool, is that you can communicate with signers to let them know about how they can connect with your organization, whether it's on your email list or maybe a donation. You have to be really tricky with donations because you want people to feel connected to your organization and know who they're donating to before you ask them to donate. And there are different schools of thought on this, but for our sponsor campaigns, when we're connecting organizations with new supporters, they often will give a 3 to 6 months, our clients will often give a 3 to 6 month lead-up period for cultivating their new supporters. So thank you for signing our petition on change.org. Let us tell you more about our organization, and then maybe ask them to take another advocacy action before that donation ask comes up. So a whole other topic for a webinar, but you know, there is not a place right now to direct people other than your organization profile to your fundraising page on change.org. And a question also from Kate about how we choose which petitions to share with our list. We are always looking for great campaigns that are examples of what's possible with online petitions. So petitions that are well-targeted, that are well thought out and likely to have an impact, petitions that are likely to resonate with segments of our users, things that we think our users will care about. We want to provide the best content to our users, as well as identify the best petitions so that our users are learning when they sign our petitions. Because it is a skill to be able to figure out the best way to use a petition, just like any tactic to make change. So if your organization is creating a petition on change.org, we do have a campaign support team that combs through petitions every day to find great examples that they might be interested in showcasing to our list. We're also experimenting with doing what we call user-generated emails to let folks know about local issues that they might be interested in. And so we are sending a lot more emails on behalf of petitions that are started on change.org by individuals and organizations. So if you have a great petition that you started and is starting to gain some traction, we'd love to hear about it. Please share it with me. And you know, I can't guarantee that we will share petitions with our list because we just don't have the resources to do that for every petition. But certainly, great example petitions are important to us, and we want to demonstrate just how people are using our platform to be effective and to make real change. If you have any other questions, we have time. And I'm just scrolling back through the questions to make sure that I answered all of them. Kate Thorpe, I thank you for your wonderful questions. And it looks like that might be all that we have for today. So thank you all again very much for joining me. Really appreciate your time. And I do hope that you choose change.org as a place to take your campaign online, start an online petition, and see what it can do for you. Thanks so much. Take care, and we'll see you online soon. Bye-bye.